When someone doesn't value you anymore, try this simple trick and watch what happens. There comes a time when someone you care about, maybe a friend, a partner, or even a colleague, begins to overlook your value. You feel unseen, unappreciated, maybe even discarded. And in moments like these, it's easy to question yourself. What did I do wrong? Why am I not enough? But let me tell you something your worth isn't up for debate. Now here's the simple trick: step back. Not on anger, not to prove a point, but to reclaim your energy. You see, when you pull back, you give people a chance to feel the weight of your absence. Sometimes folks don't realize what they've got until it's no longer there, and your silence will speak louder than any argument ever could. But here's the thing, this isn't just about them, this is about you. When you step back, you create space to focus on your growth, your passions, and your peace. Don't waste time trying to convince someone of your value. Instead, pour that energy into becoming the best version of yourself, because when you shine brighter, those who matter will notice, and those who don't, well, they'll fade into the background where they belong. And let me be clear, stepping back doesn't mean you're bitter or cold. It's about setting boundaries and holding yourself with dignity. It's about showing grace without becoming a doormat. It's about teaching people how to treat you not with words, but with actions. When someone doesn't value you, don't beg for their attention. Instead, redirect your focus to what lifts you higher. Surround yourself with people who see you, respect you, inspect you, and celebrate you. Chase your dreams, deepen your faith, and find joy in things that feed your soul. Because when you do that, something magical happens. The world begins to reflect the energy you put out. So remember this, your worth isn't tied to someone else's opinion. It's tied to your heart, your spirit, and your God-given purpose. When you know who you are, when you stand firm in your value, you won't have to chase love, respect, or recognition. It will find you naturally. Step back. Watch what happens. And never, ever let anyone make you feel small. True self-worth is not something you find in the opinions or actions of others. It's something you discover and cultivate within yourself. It's the deep, unshakable understanding that your value isn't tied to external validation, whether that's approval from friends, love from a partner, or praise from colleagues. It's rooted in the quiet, powerful belief that you are enough just as you are. When you base your self-worth on external factors, it becomes fragile, easily swayed by someone's mood, their words, or even their neglect. One moment of rejection can feel like the end of the world, and one word of praise can make you feel like you're soaring. But that's no way to live constantly at the mercy of someone else's perception of you. Real self-worth doesn't waver because someone doesn't see your value. It doesn't crumble because someone chose to walk away. Cultivating self-worth means looking inward. It's about asking yourself the hard questions: who am I when no one is looking? What do I believe about myself? Am I proud of the way I live, the way I treat others, and the way I treat myself? When you can answer those questions with confidence, you'll find a kind of freedom that no one can take away from you. You have to nurture self-worth the way you'd nurture a plant. Feed it with positive thoughts, water it with self-compassion, and give it the sunlight of patience. Because let's be honest, there will be moments when you doubt yourself. Days when you feel small, unseen, or unappreciated, but in those moments, your inner voice must be louder than the voices around you. That voice should remind you of your resilience, your kindness, your unique gifts, and the simple truth that you deserve love and respect, not because of what you've done, but because of what you've done, but because of who you are. This is not about arrogance or entitlement. True self-worth doesn't boast or demand. It's quiet but firm. It says, I know my value and I don't need you to define it for me. It's the strength to walk away from what diminishes you, the courage to say no to things that don't align with your spirit, and the grace to let go of people who don't appreciate you. When you cultivate self-worth from within, you stop looking outward for answers. You stop trying to fit into molds that were never made for you. Instead, you stand tall in your authenticity, knowing that your value is infinite and unchanging. And when you reach that place, no one's dismissal, neglect, or criticism can shake you. You become unshakable, rooted in the truth of who you are. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you can use when words fail to make an impact, or when someone refuses to see your worth. In a world that is constantly noisy, where people talk over one another to be heard, where arguments escalate to prove points, and where attention often goes to the loudest voice, silence stands out. It disrupts the pattern. It forces reflection. And most importantly, it conveys a message that cannot be ignored. When someone doesn't value you or takes you for granted, the natural instinct might be to explain yourself, to argue your case, or to fight for their attention. But the truth is, words can only do so much. They can fall on deaf ears or be twisted to suit someone else's narrative. Silence, however, is unmistakable. It's not confrontational, but it is firm. It doesn't beg for understanding, yet it demands attention. Silence sends a signal that you are no longer willing to participate in a dynamic where your value isn't recognized. It creates a void, a space where the other person has no choice but to notice your absence. They begin to realize what your presence brought to their life, the warmth of your words, the depth of your support, the light of your energy. Silence gives them time to reflect, and often it speaks louder than anything you could say. But the power of silence isn't just about what it communicates to others, it's also about what it does for you. When you choose silence, you give yourself a chance to pause and reconnect with your inner strength. You're no longer expending energy trying to be heard or understood. Instead, you're conserving that energy to heal, to grow, and to refocus on what truly matters. Silence becomes a form of self-respect, a way of saying, I don't need to convince you of my worth. I know who I am. It's important to understand that silence isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's not about punishing someone or holding a grudge. It's about creating space. Space for clarity, space for dignity, space for change. Sometimes that change comes when the other person begins to value you again. Other times it comes when you realize that you're better off without their validation. Either way, silence gives you the power to take back control. Silence also teaches patience and discipline. It's not easy to hold back when you feel the urge to explain or defend yourself, but choosing silence shows strength. It shows that you trust the truth to reveal itself in time and that you don't need to force it. Silence shows that you're not afraid to let go of what no longer serves you. Ultimately, silence is a declaration. It says, I'm at peace with myself and I don't need your acknowledgement to feel whole. It's a quiet confidence that commands respect, even from those who may not understand it at first. And in the stillness of that silence, you'll often find that the right things and the right people will come back, or you'll find the courage to walk away with your head held high. The power of presence is often underestimated, but it is one of the most profound ways to communicate your value and impact the world around you. Presence isn't just about being physically in a space, it's about the energy, attention, and authenticity you bring to that space. It's about how you show up for others, and most importantly, how you show up for yourself. When someone doesn't value you, the instinct might be to chase them, to double your efforts, or to seek their validation. But the real power lies in the opposite, redirecting your presence. People often don't realize the weight of your presence until they feel its absence. When you intentionally withdraw your energy from those who take you for granted, it creates a void. And that void is where they begin to notice the warmth, care, and strength you brought into their life. Your presence is a gift. It is your time, your attention, your kindness, and your love. And not everyone deserves unrestricted access to it. Recognizing this doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you're valuing yourself. When you are selective about where and with whom you share your presence, you teach people to respect your boundaries and appreciate your worth. But the power of presence isn't just about how others perceive you, it's also about the quality of how you engage with the world. To fully harness this power, you must be intentional. Ask yourself, where am I placing my energy? Am I fully present in the moments that matter? Too often we divide our attention worrying about people who don't value us or situations we can't control. This dilutes the impact of our presence and leaves us feeling scattered and drained. When you focus on being truly present, you radiate a kind of confidence and calm that draws people in. It's not about being the loudest or most assertive person in the room. It's about being grounded, authentic, and attentive. People can sense when you're fully engaged, when you listen deeply, and when your actions come from a place of sincerity. This kind of presence is magnetic. It creates connections that are meaningful and lasting. At the same time, presence is deeply connected to self-awareness. You cannot bring your full presence to others if you are disconnected from yourself. This means taking time to reflect, to recharge, and to nurture your own well-being. It means knowing your worth so deeply that your presence becomes a choice, not an obligation. The power of presence also lies in its ability to inspire change both in others and in yourself. When you bring your whole self into a moment, you set a standard. You show people what respect, authenticity, and commitment look like. And when you withdraw your presence from spaces or relationships that diminish you, you send a clear message: I respect myself enough to walk away from what no longer aligns with my values. Lastly, your presence is a legacy. The way you make people feel, the memories you create, and the impact you leave behind are all reflections of how you've shown up in the world. By being intentional with your presence, you ensure that it carries the kind of weight that uplifts, inspires, and commands respect. The power of presence is transformative. It's not just about being seen or heard, it's about embodying your worth in such a way that the right people, opportunities, and experiences are drawn to you. When you understand and embrace this power, you stop chasing after what isn't meant for you and start attracting what is. Focusing on growth is one of the most empowering choices you can make, especially when you feel undervalued or overlooked. It's a commitment to yourself, a decision to use challenges and setbacks as opportunities for transformation rather than allowing them to define your worth or limit your potential. Growth is not about proving yourself to others, it's about becoming the best version of yourself for you. Growth begins with self-awareness. It requires an honest look at where you are, what you want, and what might be holding you back. This isn't always easy because it often means confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself or your circumstances. It's tempting to place blame on others or external situations, but real growth starts when you take ownership of your life and choices. This isn't about self-criticism, it's about recognizing that you have the power to change, adapt, and evolve regardless of how others treat you. When someone doesn't value you, it can feel like a rejection of who you are. But this is where the opportunity for growth lies. Instead of fixating on their perception of you, shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this to strengthen my character, refine my goals, or deepen my self-understanding? Growth is not about proving your worth to others, it's about realizing your worth for yourself. Invest in your personal development. This might mean acquiring new skills, pursuing your passions, or taking steps toward your dreams. It could involve reading books that expand your mind, seeking mentors who inspire you, or stepping out of your comfort zone to try new things. Growth is an active process that requires effort, discipline, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. The more you invest in yourself, the more you realize that your value is not dependent on anyone else's recognition. Focusing on growth also means nurturing your emotional and mental well-being. Take time to heal from past wounds, process your emotions, and build resilience. Growth is not about suppressing pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing your challenges with courage and using them to become stronger. Whether it's through therapy, journaling, meditation, or simply taking quiet moments for self-reflection, prioritize your inner health. A strong foundation within makes external challenges easier to navigate. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth. Seek out relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, support, and inspiration. When you're in an environment that values and nurtures your potential, you'll find it easier to thrive. At the same time, let go of connections that drain your energy or hinder your progress. Growth often involves difficult choices, including walking away from situations or people that no longer align with your journey. Recognize that growth is not linear. There will be setbacks, detours, and moments of doubt, but every step, no matter how small, contributes to your evolution. Celebrate your progress, even when it feels insignificant. Growth isn't about reaching a specific destination, it's about the journey of becoming. It's about learning, adapting, and finding joy in the process of bettering yourself. Finally, focusing on growth shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Instead of dwelling on what you lack or what someone didn't give you, you start to see the limitless possibilities within you. You realize that every rejection, every challenge, and every disappointment is an opportunity to build something greater. Growth is a declaration that your future is not dictated by your past, but shaped by the choices you make today. When you focus on growth, you stop seeking validation from others and start finding fulfillment within. You discover that your value isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it, but by your commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. Growth is not just about moving forward, it's about rising higher, living fuller, and embracing the person you are meant to be. Kindness without obligation is one of the purest expressions of strength and integrity. It's the ability to show compassion, generosity, and understanding without expecting anything in return, not even gratitude. It's about choosing kindness as a reflection of who you are, not as a reaction to how others treat you or an attempt to earn their approval. This kind of kindness is a powerful force because it is unconditional and self-sustaining. When you practice kindness without obligation, you're freeing yourself from the transactional nature of many interactions. In a world where people often measure relationships in terms of give and take, your kindness becomes a breath of fresh air. It says, I choose to be kind because that's who I am, not because of what I want from you. This mindset is liberating because it shifts your focus from external validation to internal alignment. However, kindness without obligation doesn't mean being a doormat. It's not about tolerating disrespect or continually giving to those who take advantage of your generosity. True kindness starts with being kind to yourself, which includes setting healthy boundaries. When you understand your worth, you can give freely without feeling drained or resentful. You recognize that kindness is a choice, not a duty, and you have the right to say no when your well-being is at stake. This kind of kindness is deeply rooted in empathy. It's about seeing the humanity in others even when they fall short. It's recognizing that everyone carries unseen burdens and that a small act of compassion can make a world of difference. But it's also about understanding that your kindness isn't meant to fix people or situations. It's simply a gift you offer without strings attached. Kindness without obligation is especially powerful when faced with negativity or indifference. When someone is unkind, it's easy to respond in kind or to withdraw your warmth. But choosing to remain kind in the face of coldness is an act of courage. It shows that you refuse to let others dictate your character. Your kindness becomes a statement: I won't let the world harden me or make me bitter. Practicing this form of kindness also requires self-awareness. You must regularly check in with your intentions. Are you being kind out of genuine care, or are you secretly hoping for something in return like validation, praise, or reciprocation? When you strip away these hidden expectations, your kindness becomes lighter, more sincere, and more powerful. It no longer depends on how others respond, but instead reflects your own inner peace and integrity. At the same time, kindness without obligation doesn't mean suppressing your own needs or feelings. It's about balance. You can be kind while still advocating for yourself. You can offer compassion while still expecting respect. Kindness is not weakness, it's a strength that comes from knowing you can give freely without losing yourself in the process. Kindness also has a ripple effect. Even when it seems unnoticed or unappreciated, it leaves an impression. Your small gestures, holding the door, offering a kind word, or simply listening can inspire others to act with compassion in their own lives. In this way, your kindness extends far beyond the immediate moment, touching lives you may never even see. Finally, kindness without obligation enriches your own life. It helps you stay connected to your humanity, fostering gratitude and joy. When you practice kindness as a natural extension of who you are, you begin to notice the beauty in small moments and the goodness in others. You realize that kindness isn't about changing the world all at once. It's about creating little pockets of light wherever you go. In the end, kindness without obligation is a gift to others and to yourself. It's a way of living that transcends expectations and conditions. It's choosing to lead with your heart, no matter how the world responds. And in doing so, you not only make the world a better place, but also discover a deeper sense of peace and purpose within yourself. Setting boundaries is an essential act of self-respect, self-care, and self-preservation. It is about defining the limits of your time, energy, and emotional capacity while communicating those limits to others. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They are guidelines that teach others how to treat you and ensure that your needs, values, and well-being are protected. At its core, setting boundaries is a declaration of self-worth. It's a way of saying, I value myself enough to prioritize my mental, emotional, and physical health. When you establish boundaries, you affirm that your time and energy are precious and not to be taken for granted. This isn't about being selfish or unkind. It's about understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. By setting boundaries, you're ensuring that you have enough left to give to yourself and to others who truly matter. One of the biggest challenges in setting boundaries is overcoming the fear of disappointing others. Many people hesitate to assert their limits because they worry about being seen as rude, distant, or uncooperative. But the truth is, boundaries are not about hurting others, they're about being honest and authentic. If someone values you, they will respect your boundaries, even if it takes time to adjust. If they don't, that's a reflection of their priorities, not your worth. Boundaries also help you protect your energy. Without clear boundaries, you risk becoming overwhelmed by the demands and expectations of others. People will naturally ask for more of your time, attention, or resources if they think it's available. By setting boundaries, you're signaling that while you care, you also have limits. This doesn't mean you're unwilling to help. It means you're choosing to help in ways that don't compromise your well-being. Establishing boundaries requires self-awareness. You need to understand your own needs, triggers, and limits before you can communicate them effectively. Ask yourself, what makes me feel drained? What situations make me feel resentful or taken advantage of? These are often signs that a boundary needs to be set or reinforced. Recognizing these feelings is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of self-awareness and strength. Once you've identified the need for boundaries, the next step is communication. Expressing your boundaries clearly and calmly is essential. Use I statements to keep the focus on your needs rather than blaming others. For example, instead of saying, you always interrupt my work, you might say, I need uninterrupted time to focus on my tasks during work hours. This approach is more likely to be met with understanding and cooperation. It's important to remember that setting boundaries doesn't mean you have to explain or justify them in great detail. A simple, respectful statement is often enough. Over-explaining can dilute your message or make it seem negotiable. Boundaries are not up for debate. They are an expression of what you need to thrive. Enforcing boundaries is just as important as setting them. Once you've communicated a boundary, it's crucial to follow through. If someone crosses the line, address it immediately and calmly. Consistency is key. When people see that you're serious about your boundaries, they're more likely to respect them in the future. Boundaries are also dynamic. As you grow and change, your needs and limits may evolve. Be willing to revisit and adjust your boundaries as necessary. This adaptability ensures that your boundaries continue to serve you in different seasons of life. While setting boundaries may initially feel uncomfortable, it's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. It teaches others to value and respect you, and allows you to focus on what truly matters. Boundaries create space for healthy, balanced relationships and help you avoid resentment and burnout. Ultimately, setting boundaries is an act of love for yourself and for the people in your life. When you honor your limits, you're better able to show up fully and authentically for those who matter. Boundaries are not barriers, they're bridges to a more fulfilling and harmonious life. Controlling your narrative means taking ownership of your story, your identity, and how you present yourself to the world. It is about refusing to let others define who you are, dictate your worth, or shape the perception of your life. Instead, it is a conscious choice to live authentically and ensure that your voice is the loudest and clearest when it comes to your own life. In a world filled with opinions, judgments, and assumptions, it's easy to lose control of your narrative. People may label you based on their limited understanding, past experiences, or biases. They may misinterpret your intentions, diminish your accomplishments, or amplify your mistakes. But their perspective is not your reality. Controlling your narrative is about stepping out of the shadows of others' interpretations and owning the truth of who you are. The first step in controlling your narrative is knowing yourself. Self-awareness is crucial because you cannot authentically own your story if you don't fully understand it. Reflect on your values, goals, strengths, and even your weaknesses. Ask yourself, what defines me? What drives me? What do I stand for? When you are clear about who you are, it becomes much harder for others to impose their version of your story onto you. Taking control of your narrative also requires you to be intentional about the story you tell yourself. Often we are our own harshest critics, repeating negative narratives that undermine our confidence and potential. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable, that becomes the lens through which you see your life. Rewriting these internal scripts is essential. Instead of focusing on your limitations, remind yourself of your resilience, your achievements, and your capacity to grow. When you control your narrative, you also decide how you respond to challenges and setbacks. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be moments that feel out of your control. However, what you can control is the meaning you assign to those moments. You can choose to see failures as lessons, rejections as redirection, and difficulties as opportunities to grow. By reframing your experiences in a way that empowers you, you take control of the story rather than letting the story control you. Owning your narrative doesn't mean you have to explain or justify yourself to everyone. In fact, part of controlling your narrative is recognizing that not everyone deserves access to your full story. It's about being selective with your energy and deciding who gets to know the deeper layers of your journey. This is not about hiding or pretending. It's about being intentional with your authenticity and protecting your peace. The way you communicate your narrative matters too, whether it's through words, actions, or even silence. Everything you do contributes to how you are perceived. When you align your actions with your values, your narrative becomes clear and consistent. People will come to know you not just by what you say, but by what you do. Living in alignment with your truth is one of the most powerful ways to control your narrative. Controlling your narrative also means letting go of the need for universal approval. Not everyone will understand your choices, your journey, or your truth, and that's okay. Your narrative is yours, not theirs. The goal isn't to please everyone, but to stay true to yourself. When you release the pressure to conform to others' expectations, you gain the freedom to live a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. There's also a relational aspect to controlling your narrative. It's about teaching people how to treat you by the way you carry yourself and the boundaries you set. When you stand firm in your identity and values, you signal to others that you will not be defined by their assumptions or labels. You show them that your worth isn't up for debate and that you're in control of your story. Lastly, controlling your narrative is a continuous process. As you grow, learn, and evolve, your story will change. Embrace this evolution and allow your narrative to reflect the person you are becoming. Be open to rewriting parts of your story that no longer serve you, and don't be afraid to step into new chapters with confidence. When you take control of your narrative, you reclaim your power. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Your story becomes a source of strength, inspiration, and authenticity, a reflection of the person you truly are and the life you are creating on your own terms. Moving with purpose means living intentionally with clarity and focus rather than drifting aimlessly through life. It's about aligning your actions with your values, goals, and passions, ensuring that everything you do has meaning and a direction. This approach to life transforms how you navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and make decisions. It turns every step you take into a deliberate stride toward your personal vision of fulfillment and success. To move with purpose, you first need to define what purpose means to you. Purpose is deeply personal. It's not about societal expectations or external validation. It's about what lights you up, what drives you, and what gives your life meaning. For some, purpose may be rooted in professional achievements. For others, it may come from nurturing relationships, creating art, serving others, or pursuing personal growth. Whatever it is, your purpose should resonate with your core values and aspirations. Once you identify your purpose, it becomes a guiding star. Instead of getting lost in distractions or chasing every opportunity that comes your way, you focus on what truly matters. This doesn't mean you become rigid or inflexible. Life is dynamic and adaptability is essential. But with a clear sense of purpose, even your adaptations are intentional. You're not just reacting to circumstances, you're responding in ways that align with your broader vision. Moving with purpose also requires discipline. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of daily life, endless to-do lists, societal pressures, and fleeting distractions. Purpose gives you the ability to prioritize, to say no to what doesn't serve you, and to stay committed to what does. Discipline doesn't mean forcing yourself to grind endlessly. It means consistently choosing actions that bring you closer to your goals, even when they require effort or sacrifice. When you move with purpose, your actions carry weight. People notice the difference between someone going through the motions and someone who is driven by intention. Purposeful movement inspires confidence, respect, and admiration because it reflects a deep sense of self-awareness and determination. It shows that you're not waiting for life to happen to you, you're making life happen. Purposeful movement also brings clarity to your relationships. You begin to gravitate toward people who align with your values and goals, and you naturally distance yourself from relationships that drain your energy or pull you off course. This doesn't mean cutting people off indiscriminately. It means being intentional about the energy you surround yourself with. Purpose attracts purpose, and when you move with clarity and determination, you inspire others to do the same. Moving with purpose doesn't mean you'll avoid challenges or failures. In fact, a purposeful life often involves taking risks and stepping outside of your comfort zone. But purpose gives those risks meaning. When you're driven by a deeper why, you're more willing to endure setbacks and push through obstacles. You see failures not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones, opportunities to learn, grow, and refine your approach. Purposeful living also requires self-compassion. There will be days when you feel off track, moments when doubt creeps in, and times when progress feels slow. But moving with purpose is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about recommitting to your path, even when it feels difficult, and trusting that each step, no matter how small, is taking you closer to where you're meant to be. When you move with purpose, you also cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment. Instead of chasing empty milestones or superficial achievements, you find joy in the journey itself. Purpose turns even mundane tasks into meaningful contributions to your larger vision. It shifts your focus from short-term gratification to long-term growth and impact. Purposeful movement is contagious. When you live with intention, you inspire others to reflect on their own lives and consider what drives them. Your actions create a ripple effect, showing people that a life of meaning and direction is not only possible, but deeply rewarding. Ultimately, moving with purpose is about ownership. It's about taking responsibility for your life and choosing to live in alignment with your truth. It's about stepping into each day with confidence, clarity, and conviction, knowing that your actions are building the life you envision. When you move with purpose, you're not just walking through life, you're leaving a trail of meaning, impact, and authenticity behind you. In life, there will always be moments when you feel unseen, undervalued, or misunderstood. But in those moments, you have a choice, a powerful choice. You can allow someone else's lack of recognition to diminish you. Or you can reclaim your power and remind yourself of who you are. The path forward lies in your ability to cultivate self-worth, to move with purpose, and to take ownership of your narrative. It's about setting boundaries that protect your peace, practicing kindness without obligation, and focusing on growth no matter what challenges arise. You are not defined by how others see you. You are defined by how you see yourself and the actions you take to honor your truth. Your silence, your presence, your decisions, all of these speak volumes. They reflect the strength, the grace, and the resilience within you. So when someone doesn't value you, don't fight to prove your worth. Instead, step back and choose to value yourself even more. Move with intention. Focus on the things that elevate your spirit and surround yourself with those who see and respect the light in you. Remember, your worth isn't something others get to decide. It's something you carry within, unshaken and unwavering. Take this moment to reaffirm your power, your purpose, and your potential. Live boldly, love deeply, and let your actions speak louder than any words ever could. Because when you honor yourself, the world has no choice but to take notice. And if it doesn't, you'll still be standing tall, confident in the knowledge that you are more than enough, always.